Hello, everyone. We'll give you a few seconds here for everybody to join our Zoom room today before we begin today's presentation. Just a few more seconds here and we'll get started. Well, good afternoon and welcome to our Zoom room as we present the Siena Shares Series event, Roadmap to Success, Lansing Community College. Today's presenters are Ryan Lousma from Lansing Community College and Logan Campbell from Siena Heights University's LCC University Center. Ryan serves as a specialist for the University Center and Transfer Initiatives Department at LCC. He is also a product of the partnership. In 2020, Ryan received his Bachelor of Business Administration degree through the center. Logan is an enrollment advisor with Siena Heights' LCC University Center. He has assisted many students in completing their degrees. Please save your questions for the end of the presentation in our Q&A area, and also feel free to use and follow our chat function during the presentation. You can also ask questions in the chat function. So at this time, I'd like to start today's program by asking Ryan a few questions. Ryan, welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure. First, I'd like to start out by asking, what is the purpose of the University Center?
Right. So the University Center, or UC for short, was conceptualized in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, and serves as a partnership between Lansing Community College and select four-year universities from around the state of Michigan. The purpose of the University Center is to allow LCC students, both current and past, as well as community members, to easily earn their bachelor's degree right on LCC's main downtown campus. So currently, the UC hosts 5 four-year universities, of course, including Siena Heights. There's also Central Michigan, Ferris State, Northwood, and U of M Flint. What's very unique about the University Center is, and what makes it so attractive to students, is our programming. And I'll break that down just real quickly here. So the UC has 2 main types of programming. So there's the 2+2, which is your pretty typical transfer pathway. So 2 years at LCC, earn your associates, and then transfer over and finish your last 2 years or so with a partnering school. We also have what I consider the bread and butter of the University Center, is what we call the 3+1 programs. So the 3+1 essentially allows students to transfer up to 90 LCC credits, apply those credits towards a bachelor's degree, and then finish up their last 30 or so credits with a partnering school. In this case, it could be with Siena. So essentially, a student is able to take advantage of LCC's much lower tuition rate for an additional 30 credits before transferring over and needing to pay the little bit more expensive university tuition rates. So if you consider the 30 extra credits, it can really lead to considerable amount of cost savings, even reaching into the thousands of dollars.
Great. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.
So where is the UC located and what are the hours of operation during the current COVID situation, and then when hopefully we're past the COVID situation?
Right. So the University Center, located right on LCC's main downtown campus, specifically on the corner of Capitol Avenue and Shiawassee Street. So that's directly across from LCC's library. If you're not that familiar with that location, as a bit more of a reference, we're right down the street from the main Capitol building. So you can actually see the top spire of the Capitol from a lot of our classroom windows. So it's a very accessible location, whether you're commuting via walking, driving, or using public transportation such as CATA. And then as for hours of operation, like you mentioned, we're kind of working with COVID. So we're currently work from home. Obviously, my dog's actually sleeping right next to me. But we're usually operating around 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then when we get back to the face-to-face operations, hopefully soon, the building itself is usually open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. But it really depends on the class schedules on any given day. And we also sometimes run Saturday classes. And it hasn't happened in my time since I've been with the UC, but I believe there's been an occasional Sunday meeting or something like that. So it depends, but right now we're that usual 8 to 5. We're available, so you can give us a call, shoot us an email.
Okay, so, how can a student best prepare themselves for transferring?
Okay, so LCC has many transfer agreements with a variety of schools and the pathways that go hand in hand with those agreements. So in order to, or for a student to best prepare for transfer, usually my go-to advice is to consult with your academic advisor at LCC on a very regular basis. So keep in touch, even if you have a set pathway already laid out, just keep in touch, keep talking, check in every once in a while. They're there to help you and keep you on track on your transfer pathway. In addition to that, and this is a very, very important thing that I like to stress to the students, is you need to not only consult with your LCC advisor, but you also should be consulting with the advisor, in this case, Logan, of the school that you intend to go to. Our LCC advisors do a fantastic job of laying out the pathways, but ultimately, the school you intend to transfer to, they decide what credits are going to be accepted. So you kind of want to do a thing where you take your LCC pathway, talk to Logan in this case, and kind of cross-reference, make sure everything matches up.
Okay, I guess that kind of dovetails into my next question here is, so as a student, how do they inquire at the UC?
Okay, so at this time, like I said, we're working from home. I'd say the best way for a student to inquire about the UC is to fill out what we call an RFI, which is a request for information. That can be found on our website, which is www.lcc.edu/UC. This form allows students to take a little bit of time, tell us a little bit about themselves, where they're at, how many credits they have, did they already complete a degree, and kind of what their goals are and what programs they're interested in. On the form, it lists all of the programs that are ran through the University Center, so you can select multiple if you're interested. And then from there, once you submit it, we forward it directly to the partners, and then they reach out directly to you. In addition to the RFI, a student is obviously welcome to reach out to the UC staff directly. Our contact information is on the website, and it's honestly very common for students to give me a call or shoot me an email to discuss, what is the University Center? What do you have to offer? Where do I need to go? Who do I need to talk to, kind of thing.
Okay. So at what point in a student's education should they get in touch with the University Center about their options?
So this is a tricky question. So I guess let me first say that each student's situation is very unique, and that's how we treat it, as a unique case-by-case basis, because not everyone's pathway looks the same. So some students will come to LCC and they know exactly what they want to do right off the get-go. And others might be taking their core classes that they know are going to transfer while they kind of figure things out. I was the latter. I took core classes while I was still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. It can be hard at a younger age. So typically my advice is the earlier the better. I find that the earlier a student reaches out and develops a pathway, the clearer the end goal is going to be for that student. As I said previously, it's very important to consult with your LCC advisor as well as the advisor for the school that you want to go to.
Okay, so is the University Center open to just LCC students?
Oh, no, not at all. So the UC is actually open to anyone looking to earn their four-year degree. So like I said before, each student is very unique. We have those students who come straight out of high school, they know what they want to do, they take their LCC classes, and then they transfer to the UC. We have other students who have never even gone to the or to LCC, and they have a degree or credits from another college. And then we have community members who may have been out of college for the last 20, 30 years and now have decided to come back. And on top of our four-year degrees, I just want to throw this in there, that some of our partners actually offer master degrees programs through the UC and online. So not just for people looking for that bachelor's degree, but if you're looking to get a master's degree or a graduate certificate, there are options available.
All right, great. So, obviously the University Center seems to be a hub for a lot of different things. What events does the University Center hold for their students? And is there anything students should be aware of?
So right now, obviously we're a little bit limited, but we have been doing some virtual sessions and whatnot like we are today. But once we're back to a face-to-face format, the university fully intends on going back to our annual transfer fair, which we host during the spring semesters. And then we also have a larger event that we hold in the spring, which can vary a little bit. The transfer fair usually brings in at least 20, 25 different schools from around the state of Michigan. And there's, you get to talk to representatives, you get some free stuff, of course, and you hopefully walk away better informed about, what you need to do to transfer. The fall event itself, like I said, it varies, but in the past we've done what we call Fall in the Mall, which kind of brings all of our partners at the University Center together on the little stretch between Gannon and Arts and Sciences. Brings us together, big get together, kind of a feel good event with lots of free food for the students and kind of just, have students, come up, talk, kind of see what we're all about. On top of that, we also have an online calendar called Colleges Visiting LCC. Right now, since we're in virtual format, we have virtual sessions from different colleges, including our partners, where they can host sessions to talk to you just like we're doing today. And even if you can't make one of those sessions on the calendar, you can click it. They might have some helpful links where you can schedule your own one-on-one or just get general transfer information for that school. That's also on our website, lcc.edu/UC. Okay.
So Ryan, one final question here, for a traditional or non-traditional student thinking of starting or returning, what should they do?
Reach out. I know that's pretty short and to the point, but reach out. We can discuss your unique situation, explain what the UC has to offer for you, and also get you in touch with the right people, both at LCC and with our partnering schools. There's a lot of resources out there, a lot of people who are ready to help you. And I want to add that if you're nervous about starting or returning to school, that's completely normal. I totally get it, but we are here to help you. It's never too late to go back to school, educate yourself, get to where you want to be. And once again, not everyone's path looks the same. For me personally, my pathway was a long one. It took me 10 years of schooling off and on, full-time work, switching jobs to earn my bachelor's degree through the University Center. So like I said, it's never too late. I just talked to a student yesterday who's near 50 and looking to return. So it's really for everyone. Just reach out and we're here to help and we're ready to help.
Great. Ryan, thanks for sharing your story, and also thanks for being one of our graduates. So if people have questions for Ryan, additional questions, they can certainly use the chat or the Q&A function, and we'll get to them at the end of our presentation today. So at this time, to introduce Logan here, I think we're going to play a short little video showing a little bit of what Siena Heights University is all about, specifically at our Lansing Community College campus.
Ready to move your education forward? Siena Heights University can help you get there. Instead of having to relocate to advance your career, consider making a bachelor's degree program from Siena Heights University your next move. Here's why. Our students save thousands of dollars in tuition because we can transfer up to 90 of your hard-earned credit hours and put them towards your degree. That means you would only have to take 30 hours with Siena. Most four-year colleges require you to take twice that. that at their higher tuition rate, by the way. And those 90 credits you're transferring, they can come from all kinds of places. Your community college for starters, but we also accept credit for military and work experience. Or perhaps you have a professional certificate or license in something like cosmetology, EMT, or massage therapy. We can give you credit for those too. And because you might only need to take 30 credit hours, the equivalent of 10 classes, you can get done fast, like within a year, with no increase in tuition with the Siena Tuition Advantage. And you'll do it on your terms. Courses are offered in 7-week sub-sessions, quick and focused. And for maximum flexibility, our online courses can be taken anytime, anywhere. Fully accredited, with a proven track record of helping students complete their degree for over 40 years. Interested in finding out more about one of the many majors we offer or financial aid? Connect with us at start.sienaheights.edu/goals. Your trusted advisor will be with you every step of the way, making sure you get started with as many credits under your belt as possible and walking alongside you until you graduate. Connect with us at start.sienaheights.edu/goals.
Okay. Well, speaking of trusted advisors, we have one with us today. Logan Campbell, thank you for joining us. We wanted to talk a little bit on the Siena Heights side. You know, obviously we've been affiliated with the University Center there at Lansing Community College for quite a long time. You've been there, I know, a few years now. First, talk about, you know, that 3+1 program that people have been hearing about throughout today's presentation.
Yes, so and I love following Ryan because he always does a great job at describing, so hopefully I can do the same. But yeah, you've heard Ryan touch base on it, you've heard the video touch base on it. The 3+1 program essentially means that traditionally it takes a student 4 years to complete a bachelor's degree. And so 3+1 means that we can take your first 3 years of education, transfer them into Siena, usually leaving a student with only 1 year to complete their degree. In terms of credit value, as you've seen on the video, and as Ryan mentioned earlier, you know, we can accept up to 90 transfer credit hours, with the ultimate goal being 120 credit hours for your bachelor's degree. And so one of the benefits to this program is cost right up front. That's a question that a lot of students have when they're coming back to college or when they're interested in it, is how can I keep the cost as low as possible? And it's a reasonable question. And so the 3+1 maximizes that, because a lot of times I'll see LCC students that come to me right when they finish their associate's degree or certificate program even, and have right around that 60 credit chunk. And so what we do is a lot of times we advise students to go back to LCC for an additional 30 credits and usually an additional year, and then transfer to Siena. And as Ryan mentioned, the sooner you can get in touch with an LCC advisor and, you know, a Siena advisor, for example, like myself, the better off you're going to be, because we can actually lay out a roadmap and a plan for you to complete that goal while you're attending LCC. And so, yeah, that's essentially what the 3+1 functions as. Just as a note, and to give you a little bit of information about Siena, as Ryan mentioned, we're at the corner of Capitol and Shiawassee is where the University Center is located, pre-COVID, when we're actually there and not at home. And Siena, we're in that building, and hours of operation for us are very similar. Usually Monday through Thursday, we're there from 9 a.m. until 6, and then Fridays we're there from 8 until noon. And when we're on campus, we allow walk-ins. So if you're ever on LCC's campus, when life returns to semi-normal and you have some time between classes and you just want to touch base and figure out what might be the best course of action for you, you can walk over to the University Center, inquire through them. A lot of times they might even call me and say, hey, Logan, you know, I have a student here who's interested in one of your programs. Do you have time to talk to them? The answer is absolutely yes, most of the time. And so just to kind of go over some of the programs that we offer, as Ryan mentioned, some of the University Center partners actually offer master's degree programs, and we're one of them. At our University Center location in Lansing, we offer a bachelor's of arts and multidisciplinary studies, a bachelor's of arts in community and human services, bachelor's of arts in professional communication, even a bachelor's in business administration. And we also offer, and this was kind of our bread and butter program, was the applied science, the bachelor's of applied science. And the applied science program goes towards applied science fields like massage therapy, medical assisting, welding, aviation, things like that. Anything where if you attended LCC and received an Associates of Applied Science, there's a very good chance that you can transfer to Siena and turn that associate's into a bachelor's degree in applied science. Sign language interpreting is another big one. But we also offer master's degree options at the University Center. Usually, most of our master's programs can be completed online. There are a few programs that you would have the option to take classes grounded at the University Center. And speaking of that, that's where essentially that's where the partnership comes in, because if you did do the 3+1 program transfer to Siena Heights, a lot of our programs, again, pre-COVID, are offered on site at the University Center. So you still wouldn't even have to drive to Siena and Adrian and our main campus. You could still go to Lansing and attend grounded classes or online. It's a lot of information.
It is, but it's a lot of good information. So, Logan, talk to us about 7-week courses. I know for the longest time we had 8-week courses, and I know a little while back we decided to make the switch to 7-week courses. Explain that move and why you think that maybe is a plus for the adult post-traditional student.
Yes. So, and speaking from my own experience, I always, when I was going through school, I felt like 16-week courses dragged on a little bit too much. And so at Siena, one of our most attractive features about any of our programs that I had mentioned before is the fact that we offer 7-week courses. So as an example, traditionally we'll take fall because fall is usually one of the most common semesters. In fall, traditionally at LCC, your classes will start either last week of August, first week of September, and go all the way until right around December 13th, 14th or so. And you're in those courses for the 16 weeks. So a full-time student would be taking 4 courses simultaneously for the 16 weeks. Whereas at Siena, we have sub-sessions, we call it. So basically, we still operate on that 16-week schedule where our courses still essentially go from August until December. But the difference is that halfway through, 7 weeks through, your first session courses end and then your next session courses begin. And so just as an example, last year for fall, our courses started, I believe it was August 31st for fall 1 and went until October 16th. And then our students actually had a 10-day break. And then our fall 2 courses began October 26th and went until December 13th. And again, this is one of the things that I try and hit hard on when I talk to students, just so they can kind of grasp and understand this. Because if you're a full-time student, what that means to you is that if you're used to taking 4 courses simultaneously at Siena, that is not the case. If you're a full-time student, 2 of your 4 courses are in the first 7 weeks, and then the other 2 are in the second 7 weeks. So you still count as a full-time student for financial aid purposes if you are using that. But essentially your semester is broken down, and it's like that for every single one of our semesters, whether it's summer, winter, or fall. I know that we call it winter. LCC, I believe, calls it spring. So if you ever hear me say winter, I mean spring. But yeah, so the 7-week courses is one of the most attractive features, and it's something that students who have a busy schedule, have home lives, have families and things that they need to work around, it's very, very beneficial for them to take part in.
All right, great. The next question talks about a little bit of the cost. That's probably something you hear first and foremost. What's the price and how much does it cost to complete my degree? Mm-hmm. We, a couple of years ago, decided to establish the Siena Tuition Advantage to help address that. Could you explain that program?
Yes. Yeah. So essentially the Siena Tuition Advantage, and I believe I mentioned it in the video, we call it the STA. So what it stands for is if a student starts with us, say this upcoming semester in summer, which starts May 10th for us. If a student starts in summer and if they can complete their degree within 2 years, which usually that is absolutely doable, and if they do not take a break over any semester, as far as skipping out on fall or winter, for example, if they start with us, can complete their degree within 2 years and do not take a break, even if Siena's tuition price changes, yours will not. You are locked into that rate for essentially the entirety through Siena. And if you do the 3+1 program, traditionally it takes a student 1 year to get through. Now you can transfer before 90 credits if you would like at the 60 credit mark, and that still takes about 2 years for a student to complete their degree. So likely if you're looking at transferring to Siena, when you talk to me and I tell you the tuition price and we go through all of that together, it's safe to say that it's not going to change when you start with us through when you finish. And so the STA is one of the benefits when it comes to cost. And as you mentioned, Doug, cost is a huge thing. That's one of the top 2 questions that I get. It's cost and time frame. And just to kind of nip it in the bud and just to help students who might have questions or people who might have questions, we do accept financial aid. We do accept scholarships, tuition reimbursement if that's offered through your employer. We also do payment plans for those who plan on paying out of pocket. And all of that I help you with. At Siena, we have sort of a cradle to grave motto when it comes to advising. So if you're interested and if you inquire through the University Center, you talk with Ryan and they point you in Siena's direction, then you talk with me. Siena, the way that we operate essentially is I talk to a student really before they start with us, and then I help you all the way through it. So you will never have another advisor. We stick with you. It's always a one-stop shop. You know who to ask questions to about anything, whether it's financial aid related, credits transferring, things like that. So yeah, that's one of the benefits too about Siena and our advising structure is you know who you're going to get in touch with. I am the advisor at Lansing. You can see my face, you can hear my voice. I will be the person that's talking to you should you be interested.
Okay, well, that kind of leads into my next question here is, how do people inquire at Siena Heights University? Obviously, they can contact you, but talk about that process.
Yes, so, and I believe we're going to add this in the chat below, but there is a page for our Lansing students specifically where they can go and fill out a form. And basically what it does is it gives me 2 vital pieces of information. It gives me your phone number and your email address. That way I can call you and reach out. That way we can go over everything together. But that page is www.sienaheights.edu/Lansing. And so if you go to that link, you can fill out the inquiry page. Basically, it asks what program you're interested in. The second you do that, almost instantly it gets sent to me. And then I look over it and then I touch base with you as soon as I can. Also, as Ryan mentioned, you could theoretically inquire through the University Center if you would like. You can go to them first. If maybe you're an undecided student and you don't know what program specifically that you're looking into, you can go to the University Center, you can fill out their RFI form, list the number of programs that you're interested in, and then if any of those correlate with Siena degrees, they will send it to me and then I will be able to reach out. Those are the 2 easiest ways to inquire through Siena Heights. Also on the PowerPoint, you guys did see my email. You can always send me an email as well if you don't feel comfortable sending in the inquiry form. And keep in mind, this is for all students, traditional, non-traditional, whether you've been out of school for 20 years or you're trying to finish as soon as you can. This program, the 3+1, the partnership with LCC and Siena, is there for a reason, and it's been very fruitful over the years. We can help students coming from essentially any walks of life, any background, whether, like I said, you've been out of school for 10 years or you're just trying to finish as soon as possible. Inquiring is the biggest thing that you can do. And there's a ton of resources on LCC's campus, such as the University Center, that students absolutely should be using. Even if you might not know what program you're interested in, walk over there, talk to somebody at the University Center like Ryan. He can help. I can help. And so that's the biggest advice that I can give to anybody who is either thinking about school, thinking about should I come back. Basically, we can put together these big plans for everybody. And, it shows you step by step what you would have to do, what the cost would be, and things like that.
Okay, well, thanks for all that explanation. Logan, one final question for you. You talked about cost and time to complete a degree. Those are the top 2. What maybe would be a third question or another question you get quite often from prospective students?
Other than cost and time frame, usually the third question is how many credits are transferable, which ties directly into that. So yeah, a lot of times students, they might have attended multiple institutions or, just LCC. And some students might have even gone into the military, and they reach out to me and they say, Logan, I've done a lot. I've worked in the field for X amount of years. How many credits do I have? I have no idea. How many of these are going to be transferable into a program? So yeah, those are the top three questions. And as you can see by the graphic, the goal of this presentation was essentially to help students from before they start or as they're starting, have a roadmap to start at LCC, check out through the University Center, and then basically from then on out, if it's Siena Heights that you decide on, you would meet with myself and then enroll and complete the program. And so that was the goal of this whole presentation. And we look forward to your questions.
Yes, this would be the time to ask. I know we're at that point in the presentation where we probably talked enough, and now it's time for maybe some people who are attending today to ask some questions. So we'll open it up. I don't see any currently in either the chat or the Q&A function, but we'll wait a few minutes here. And if not, I'll ask maybe a couple myself while people maybe get up the courage. Well, let's see here. I do have a question here. Miranda's asking, what's the next step to take after this Zoom meeting?
Yes, so it depends. If you're looking at programs that LCC and the University Center partners offer, it would be inquiring through the University Center, inquiring through that RFI and seeing, what program suits you best. If you already know the program, if it was one that was at Siena, for example, you can either email me directly or fill out the inquiry form. If you have already filled that out, feel free to send me an email and we'll touch base. Usually I'm really good with emails, but essentially if it's a Siena program, you can reach out to me at the email that's listed on your screen and we will set up a phone appointment most times or a Zoom, whatever works best for you.
Ryan, anything to add there?
Logan got it 100% correct there. So if you're not sure kind of where you're sitting with credits and all that, of course, you can reach out to me. We can kind of discuss where you're at, what your goals are, what your timeframes are, your desired timeframes, and what programs you're interested in. In this case, if a program that you like or you're interested in is with Siena, I will get you in touch with Logan. We'll probably have you fill out that RFI just to lay out all that information. And then we'll get that information to Logan and he'll reach out directly. So thank you, Logan. That was a great explanation.
Okay, looks like there's one in the Q&A that has come in. Liberty's asking for the 7-week classes at Siena. Are they more advanced than normal classes? This is probably for Logan.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Liberty, and the answer is yes and no, and I'll explain. So since they are 7 weeks, they are indeed faster paced. So, you are expected to hit the ground running. But one of the things that offsets that is the fact that we offer the 7-week courses, ironically. So as an example, if you're, we'll say, a part-time student used to taking 2 courses at one time, if you do those 2 courses at LCC, they're both going on simultaneously for 16 weeks. Whereas if you go part-time at Siena for the 7-week courses, one would be in the first 7 weeks, one would be in the second. And so what that does is it breaks down, it essentially cuts your homework in half because your courses aren't beginning at the same time. You're only focusing on one at a time. And so although they are a little bit faster paced and they are undergraduate courses that do, require a little bit more work than associate level courses, it's not necessarily something that I've ever heard from students becoming an issue because of the fact that they can focus on less courses at once. Hopefully that answered your question. If it doesn't, I can elaborate further.
And I'll add real quick. I did a different program, but my courses, most of them were in an accelerated format. So around 8 weeks or so. I was a little nervous about it, especially since I was working full time at the University Center. I have a family, I have a wife. everything that goes with life. But it's manageable. Once you get into it, I actually preferred it. Things seem to just click along. Once you started a class, you got in the groove, and then it was done, and then you move on to the next one. So it can be very, very beneficial, and it helps it seem a lot faster.
All right, another question. How many days per week do you typically meet in a 7-week class?
So that's another one of the it depends. Pre-COVID, when we offer grounded courses, it's 1 day a week. Usually at the University Center, our Siena courses are offered somewhere between 6:30 to about 9:30, somewhere in that time frame. And it's 1 day a week if it's a grounded class that's being offered. Now, for this semester and for the summer, we are entirely online because of COVID. And so online, it's at your own pace. There's no synchronistic component to it. You will never have a course that says you have to be on Monday from 6 to 9. Basically, you would get an assignment from a professor that would say, for example, Miranda, your assignment's due Wednesday at 11:59 Eastern. And then throughout the week, whenever you can finish it, you just make sure that you knock it out before that deadline, and it works. So for the grounded classes, they are 1 day a week. If you did want to pursue that route, usually it's about a 3-hour chunk. But right now, with everything being online, it's essentially at your own pace.
All right, great. So again, this is your chance to ask any questions here. Still waiting. As we're waiting for maybe last minute questions, I do want to take this opportunity. I know yesterday, Ryan, I recognized your last name, and you probably figured I may be mentioning it today, but for anybody who wants to wonder, yes, Ryan Lousma is related to the space shuttle astronaut, Jack Lousma. Ryan, do you want to give some details on that?
Yeah, I'm pointing at a shuttle right now. Yeah, so we met yesterday just as a prep for this Q&A session, and Doug happened to see the last name. So on my father's side, his dad, or my grandfather, is Jack Lousma. He was a part of the Skylab missions. Prior to that, he was training for the moon missions, but if you don't know, Apollo got cut a little short. And then he went on to the 3rd test flight of the shuttle. Another fun fact about Jack is he was the person when Apollo 13 went awry. He was the one who answered the Houston, we've got a problem. So if you ever hear that audio, the person on the other end is him. And then just real quickly, there's a picture of him up here. Clifford Charlesworth, that's on my mom's side. He was flight director for a lot of missions, but most notably Apollo 8 and then the 1st and 2nd moon landing. So a lot of family history there. And it's funny how it's a small world, and this comes up every once in a while when people recognize the last name.
Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. And Ryan, we're glad to have you as one of our graduates. And like I said, I don't know if we have an astronaut program at Siena, but if we ever do, maybe we can get you to be involved, or even your grandfather. Either one of your grandfathers could make an appearance. So
right, just let me know.
All right. So one last call here for some questions. I'm not seeing anything in the Q&A or the chat. I'll give it a couple more seconds here. Okay, well, I think we answered everything that people brought us today. Logan and Ryan, thank you so much. Oh, we do have one last question. Do you know if it's too late to file a FAFSA?
It is not.
There you go.
Yeah, it is not. So essentially you hear about the deadline for FAFSAs, and a lot of times that is to include something that's called, oh geez, I'm going to forget the name. I believe it's the Michigan Tuition Grant. That if you submit your FAFSA by X amount of date, you have the potential to receive the Michigan Tuition Grant. Because of the 7-week courses that Siena offers and the fact that students can transfer at any time, we have students that fill out their FAFSA in December. We have students that fill out their FAFSA in July. It doesn't matter. It's not too late to fill out your FAFSA. You can fill it out whenever you would like. Just keep in mind that for Siena, our summer semester is the 21-22 FAFSA, and that goes summer of this year, fall of this year, and winter of next year. So if you fill it out for this year, again, the 21-22 FAFSA, which you can find at studentaid.gov, it works for the next 3 semesters for us. So I won't be bothering you to fill it out after that.
Okay. Any more questions before we leave our chat today? Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Logan and Ryan, special thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Anybody has any questions? We have obviously the inquire information and also their direct emails. So feel free to reach out to Logan and Ryan if you have any questions at all about the process at LCC's University Center. And for everyone here at Siena Heights, thanks for joining us today and enjoy the rest of your lunch hour.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care.